Hey guys, welcome back to SBB TV, episode 58. Today, our special guest is Northern Larry Robinson, um, who's a great guest. I mean, I just know that some good things are going to come from this. Talking about his business, what he does, how long he's been doing it, and then he also has written a couple books too that we want to talk about as well. But as anything, our main focus is getting to know this business owner, and that's our goal, to help business owners get more exposure. So Larry, how's it going today?
All is well. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today, Mr. Ryan.
Absolutely, that's what's up. So you're in the gospel ministry business. Am I correct in that?
That's an interesting way to put it. I'm in the gospel ministry business, but that's true. I'm in the gospel industry. I've been a media personality for the last 20 years, and I'm actually turning 40 this year. And so in December, actually on December the 5th, I'm having a 2040 celebration. So I'll be celebrating 20 years in gospel industry and 40 years of life. So I'm excited about that.
That sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. Where is it gonna be, in Louisiana?
Correct. Lake Charles, Louisiana. We go in the Faith Temple Church of God in Christ here in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Wait, Lake Charles got is there some big mega churches in Lake Charles?
Not really mega churches. We have some medium-sized churches, but we don't really have like a Joel Osteen or a Bishop T.D. Jakes in Lake Charles.
Did T.D. Jakes come out of Louisiana? Was that his original spot?
T.D. Jakes actually came out of Charleston, West Virginia. Is where he's from before he moved to Dallas.
Okay, that maybe it's the Charles and the Charleston.
You know what? I take that back. So from Louisiana, we actually have Jesse Duplantis. Is one of, I guess you would say, he's not from Lake Charles, but he is from like the New Orleans area. Mm-hmm. But Jesse Duplantis is from here. The Money Cometh guy, just because I want to call
him. Oh my God, Money Cometh now.
Daryl somebody. He's from
Creflo's boy.
Right. He's from Louisiana. And of course, everybody know Jimmy Swaggart was in the Baton Rouge area. He's from Louisiana. And we have a bunch of gospel singers from Louisiana. Zael is from here. Micah Stampley is from Louisiana, and a bunch more.
What was
actually
that?
An artist?
Leroy Thompson.
Leroy Thompson from Darrow. I said Darrow because he's from Darrow, Louisiana. But okay. Leroy Thompson is from Louisiana.
I'm not going there with that guy.
Hey, you get what you believe.
Right. I seen him. In my hometown, Gary, Indiana, there's an up and coming mega church.
Okay.
And I don't pretty much name their name because I don't really like them too much. But everybody knows who I'm talking about anyway if they're watching this and they're from Gary. But he was there a couple years ago. And that turned a lot of people off.
Really?
It really did. Because it became more of like a carnival, right? And doing his routine and stomping on the dollars and throwing the money at the pool pit and all that. And and I wonder sometimes, do these churches, do they realize, what they're doing? And I know you do interviews with gospel artists as well. Do you talk to the preachers or the ministers?
I do. We don't necessarily talk about that aspect of it, but I do get to interview pastors, especially if they have authored a book or if they own a business. I'm actually pro-business. And so when I talk to a pastor or anybody in the faith community and we start talking about entrepreneurship, which is I'm a big advocate of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we talk about. We don't necessarily talk about money coming out of the sky type thing. We actually talk about strategic strategies that you can do to increase your finances, etc. Now, sowing is actually a universal law. Confucius, Buddha, if you want to go through all that, but even Jesus said it this way: give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. It goes on to say that he will cause men to give into your bosom. Just a quick testimony, if you want to talk about that. Just recently, just this week, I was coming out of, where was I? I was in the store, and a young man walked up to me, And he said, I've been following your ministry for years. He says, I know that you're celebrating 20 years in the ministry, and you've also turning 40 years of life. And he says, I just want to be a blessing to you. And so with that, he actually placed, and if you follow me on social media, I posted it on Facebook and some other places. He actually placed $100 in my hand. And then he said, God bless you, brother. Continue to be blessed. And he walked off. Today, just right before I prepared for this interview. And people that follow me on Instagram can see it. I was getting brunch. I even posted about the fact that I would be talking to you today. And I said, I'm getting a little brunch. Walked out. Young lady got out of her car, walked towards me. She said, brother, I've been following your ministry for years. I follow your online endeavors. She says, I know you're having your celebration in December, but I want to be a blessing to you early. She says, I believe that great wealth is coming towards you. She says, I believe everyone connected to you are going to be blessed. So even you, Ryan, just the fact that we're connected, I believe blessings are coming your way. But not only that, she placed $50 in my hand, said, God bless you, got back in her car and drove off.
Nice. And that happens. I tell people, as a youngster, obviously most of us, black kids, we grew up in the church. So whether we still go on every Sunday or even on a yearly basis or annual basis, we still have that basic, foundation. And, that we lean on sometimes, oftentimes. I'm not a church goer. I'm not much of a person, to be honest, that will go to church every Sunday and several times throughout the week. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God. That don't mean I don't, kick back and read my Bible. That don't mean I don't kick back and do things and have different conversations with people in fellowships. A lot of people, I think, and I'm going to ask you, what's your take on this? But a lot of people tend to have a problem with that. And I'm going to tell you, from my viewpoint and some of the other people I talk to, it turns them off. I understand the prosperity. I understand that, the sowing and the reaping and things like that. But one of the things that it just becomes too much of a carnival, almost to the point. Did you see what John Oliver did on HBO this past week?
I did not. I don't watch much television.
But it was about televangelists. And, he basically created the laws and looked at the rule book as far as, opening up a church and this, that, and the other. And I guess.
Oh, you know what? I think I did see something. Someone posted, one of my friends posted, I think the aftermath of that. And then, of course, he started a church. If this is the same guy, he started a church at the end. And then there's a 1-800 number. I actually call that that number.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. What is this foolery? But he, and if you listen to the message, he's talking about giving. Now, I do not necessarily condone stuff like that. But let me just tell you this. I do not personally have a problem with a person of faith being prosperous. I just don't. But here's the deal. Now, I do have a problem with the person of faith that is mishandling people's finances or people's money or money in general. But not only a person of faith, we beat the gavel down on people of faith, but then we also have people that are managing nonprofit organizations that has nothing to do with Jesus Christ or the church or spirituality, but it's still a nonprofit, and they mishandle people's funds as well. So I put them all in the same category. So I don't necessarily say, oh my God, it's the church, you shouldn't do this. No, I have a problem. I beat the gavel down on anyone that people are trusting you, whether it's a nonprofit organization, whether it's a church, whether it's just a regular business. People are giving you money in exchange for a service that you're providing. Now, that can be nonprofit or for profit. But when you take that money and mishandle it, squander it, spend lavishly, and do not sow back into people, I have a problem with that. So we beat the gavel down on churches and nonprofits, but we don't necessarily do that for for-profit corporations. I see it all the time on Instagram and other places. You spending $500 on a plate of food. Now, I'm not broke, but I don't know if I just gonna give away $500 for a plate of food. But here's the deal. I look at it like this, and I saw this in the illustration before. A stack of, I want to say $1 million is I forget how high, maybe like 12 feet or something if you stack it up. But then a stack of maybe $1 billion, I think is what it was, is about the size of the Empire State Building if you stack up the money. But when at first I used to look down on people that would spend $500 on a plate of food. But let me just put it this way, Ryan, when you got Oprah Winfrey money, Oprah Winfrey is North America's only black female billionaire. Let me say that slowly. Oprah Winfrey is North America's only black female billionaire. She can spend $500 on a plate of food, and you're taking a picture of it. It's $500. I mean, it's like $5 for Larry funds. For her, that's not necessarily misappropriating funds. Does it make sense?
Oh,
but if Larry take the funds that people giving to me, and I go to a restaurant and I post in a receipt of myself paying $500 for a plate of food, I believe people will have a problem with that.
Well, yeah, if it's, I see your point as well. When in that case, when it's, if it's a nonprofit or this and the other, and it's a $500 or $1,000 plate, and it's a fundraiser, because even if I'm just going to a restaurant and I want some lobster and I'm racking all this up and it becomes $500, and people are trusting me with their finances to do other things, or even if it's just, like I said, even if it is not a nonprofit, even if it's a for-profit organization, and people are spending money, like at Walmart and all these other places, we're spending our money constantly there. But if Walmart and all these other for-profit organizations are not giving back to the community and to the world, then I hold them accountable just as I hold a nonprofit organization. I don't know why that we put nonprofits and churches and kind of beat the gavel down on them. But even people, money is an energy. It's simply a tool. It's simply a resource. And no matter who has it, a nonprofit or a profit, it should still be handled with care. Oh, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. And as you know, you're always going to have people who misuse funds, who are not in it for the right reasons that we may think they in it. They may know exactly why they in it. It's all about the Benjamins. And the reason why I asked you that is because I know that you talk to a lot of people, so I know that you got different perspectives as well. But I'm just saying, as far as when that happened, and one of the things, it's no different from a buddy of mine actually was a member, or no, I don't. Yeah, they are a member of Black Folk Hotspots, and they had a nightclub, and this was back in, I don't know, some years ago, and maybe 2009 or maybe 2010, something like that. But they had brought in Waka Flocka, and to perform, and they and what ended up happening, it was a lot of kids. It was a skating rink, so you had kids, young kids, and you had older kids, and they brought in Waka Flocka. He did his performance, and while the younger kids, like the 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, are waiting for their parents to pick them up, people start shooting. It was a big fight, a lot of shooting. Like, I want to say like 8 kids got shot. None of them died. Thank God. None of them died, but they did get shot, right? And I don't think that any one of them got shot seriously. I hadn't heard anything further about that. But, and I wrote something about that. And, the club owner, they called me up and they were like, man, I can't believe you're a supporter of Black business and you would write something, that the meaning about us. And basically all I had written was, had you taken, because I asked him when he called, I said, why did you bring him in? And what I had wrote was, why would you bring, if, at that point, Waka Flocka, everywhere he went it was a trail of stuff happening, and it was all over. and one of the so everywhere on his tour stop, somebody was getting shot. It was fights. It was this, that, and the other. It's not something that you want to bring to your club, because bringing this could actually end your club. You know, it could literally end, and which is essentially what happened. So the money that they made, that was pretty much one of the last nights that they ever were open. And so from a business perspective, and I'm sure that you do it as well. Now, you could bring controversial subjects, but it's anything when it gets to now, are we playing with religion, or are we actually doing religion? But tell me, I mean, I won't get into it with that, because that wasn't the gist, but let's talk about these books you've written real quick. What are the titles? What are they about? What made you start writing books?
Okay, well, actually, I started posting stuff on blogs and Facebook and all of those places, and people would ask me, "Do you have that in a book?" And that's one key for a business owner. When people start asking you for your service, asking you if you do certain things, it's talking about, and especially in the church world. You got Sister Sally that at your church, when she make pies, people flock to her to get her pies. Now, there may be another lady that makes some pies. She may take half her pies home. Well, but when Miss Sally make her pies, then people buying them, they love them, they appreciate them. Well, Miss Sally might want to consider, even if she doesn't physically open somewhere or, whatever, but considering putting her pie somewhere for her to reach a greater audience. Well, that is one of the first keys for opening a business. Many times we try to sit back sometimes and say, what can I do? But sometimes your target audience will tell you what they want. So with that said, people were reading my stuff, finding my stuff online, and asked me if I had it in the book form. Well, at that time I didn't. Well, I do now. So this actually, Get Up and Get Over was the first book. I interviewed an author by the name of Ashley, I forget her name. Interviewed Asia Tyson. She's the author of a book, How I Retired at 21. If you don't have that, Ryan, you got to find that book. How I Retired at 26 years of age. I'm sorry. Asia Tyson is her name. She inspired this book because I ended up writing an article about my conversation with her, and then it became the title of this book, and has some other great chapters in this book as well. And then on Facebook and Twitter and all the other places, I was posting quotes every day. And so someone asked me, did I have that in the book form? And at the time I didn't, but I said, well, let me ask you a question. If I put that in book form, would you buy it? And they was like, yes. So I screenshotted that. And so when I put it in book form, I inboxed him. I say, well, hey, you said when I put these quotes in book form that you'd be the first person to buy them. And here's a screenshot of what you said. And he was like, I sure did. Where's the link? And I sent the link to him. And of course, he bought it. And of course, he shared the link with other people. And other people have bought it as well. So Life Quotes is the title of this, a collection of motivating and empowering thoughts to help you believe and achieve your dream.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. I was looking on Amazon, so I see that both your books are, so if you're watching this, you want to grab the books, you got to just type in Larry W. Robinson, and it should pull them straight up. And then there'll also be links in the description of this video too, as well, later on for you to take a look at. And we also posted them on Black Folk Hotspots on our fan page on Facebook, and you can go probably to more likely. You can also check out my Twitter at GI Operation, and you'll see the link as well. So you guys can grab that and support my brother here, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. Now, so you interview now when you interview people in the religious world, in the gospel world, that do you have a select niche? Do you pick, like, you're just authors or entertainers, or how do you pick and choose?
Well, actually, I interview almost everybody. With that said, I'm actually the publisher of a digital magazine. I kind of printed it out just for some people to see it, but it's actually a digital magazine called Gospel Updates. We tell the latest developments of what's happening in the gospel community. People actually can go to gospelupdates.com. On this particular cover, this one has went around the world and back. This was a popular issue. Popular Tyler Perry actress Tasha Smith ex-husband Keith Douglas speaks out. So people really wanted to know what Keith had to say. So this kind of sort of went viral. And then of course I'm on here with Dorinda Clark Cole. She's like an icon and a legend in the gospel community. But so we got that. But with that said, yes, I do interview artists, authors. Actually, I'm working on the September issue of the Gospel Updates magazine now, which will come out this weekend. It's all about relationships. We have an article in there on how to deal with toxic relationships. We have something about how to deal with, Brian, you're going to love this. There is going to be a contribution in this issue of the magazine, how to get beautiful women and everything else you want in life. How to get beautiful women and everything else you want in life. I'm excited about people checking out that in the magazine, this issue. But people can go to gospelupdates.com and get the current issue. But the September relationship issue will be out in a couple of days.
Now, how often do you put that out? Does that come out once a month or
once a month? Every month.
That's now, is that a free magazine or
free publication, free download? You just go to gospelupdates.com, click the link, and it'll download directly to your mobile device.
Now, have you ever thought about putting that on Kindle?
No. I'm having as I said earlier, I'm having my 2040 celebration. That's going to actually be a commemorative issue of the magazine, and we're going to take that and actually print them and pass them out to all of the guests that are coming in from out of town, and of course our local guests as well.
That's cool, man. You know what? It's something that I want to do, and and it's something that not want to do, but I am going to do. But it's coming, because I believe that the church should run like a business. I do agree with that, and I got a couple buddies that are pastors, and like you said earlier, when I had this idea pop in my head, first thing I did was I hit them up like, hey, what do you think? And, and one of my buddies out in San Diego, he says, dude, if a church ain't thinking expansion and growth like this, if it's not thinking like a business, it's probably gonna fail. A lot of these churches, they don't understand marketing. They don't understand that they have to market it no different than anywhere else. And it's highly competitive. I'm not, not trying to be funny or anything, but it's a lot of churches in a lot of cities. Right. So, and here's something that, like I go to churches and I speak to their congregations, now I may not go on Sundays, but I'll go on a Saturday and I'll set up a meeting, or I'll go, on a Wednesday night if they needed me when they're there, and talk about entrepreneurship, because I believe that, if we go back in history, we knew that the churches were where a lot of our civil leaders and they gathered. They had meetings in the basement and things like this. This is how they planned out our communities, was in the church. And we have to get back to that, in my opinion, and as well as the Black business owners. And I think it needs to be a connection between the two, that those things need to happen. So what made you start what you were doing? I mean, what made you start the interviews? What made you start? Is that what came first? Was the interviews? Is that what that came first, or what came first?
Actually, I went to school for mass comm and speech communications, and I ended up getting a job at a little AM station in my hometown. Unfortunately, the first station I worked for, I thought I was going to be able to show my kids where it all got started, but they eventually tore that building down and built a new building, whatever. But I started on a little AM station, and then of course I went to FM, and now I'm on several stations across the country and the world. I'm on in South Africa, the Netherlands, China, a whole bunch of other places. But with that said, I actually started with the radio show, and what I would do was, this was when Yahoo email was real popular. Yeah, I probably did something I wasn't supposed to do, but I didn't know. Hey, when you don't know. But I used to send mass email through Yahoo about my interviews, and of course their new CDs, whatever we were talking about on the interview. Well, a lot of the record companies hit me up and say, well, hey, can you blast out about such and such new CD coming out on such and such day? I said, sure, as soon as you send me a check for such and such dollars. So that's how that started. And so now we have gospeleblast.com where we digitally send out the latest developments in the gospel industry.
See, that's funny, and because there's so many different takes, and that's that's interesting how that all came about, because that's almost, which is what I tell these business owners all the time, like, a lot of our stories are intertwined, because that's almost how Black Folk Hotspots came about as well, after the dream, because it was in blog format. And that's what I knew. I knew how to drive traffic to blogs and websites. That's what I did. So I created a blog around it. And I would just, like, say if it was you and I saw you, I would if you were a business that I went in and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool, or nightclub or lounge, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool, I would just blog about it. And what happened was the internet started saying, we're looking for this. And so as they did that, one of the things that happened was I started getting phone calls from around the country asking, can you talk about my mom's bar beauty shop, and can you post up my event in DC? Can you do this and do that? And next thing you know, and I was still working my corporate job, and next thing I know, it was so much coming through with email that it was just overwhelming. And so that's when I created BFHS Network, so that the business owners, and everyone else can post their stuff, and then we can take it from there and do what we had to do. So that's an interesting. What's next for you? That's interesting how you got started. What's next?
Well, you know what? We still promoting gospel updates, the e-magazine. I got another book coming, and I'm recording a worship record. That's what's next.
Are you singing too?
Yeah. So here's the deal. So for the last 20 years, I've been putting artists on the spot to sing. Well, actually before that, because if you talk to any of my classmates, matter of fact, after we finish this interview, I'm gonna post this in our Facebook group. But if you talk to any of my classmates, they will remember me walking down the hall asking the singers in our class and in other classes to sing live on the spot. I shall never forget asking some of my friends. They had a group, and they would sing. I don't know if you remember the group called High Five.
Yeah.
They did the song "Can't Wait Another Minute for Your Love" and all that. So I would ask a group of girls to sing that because they love that song. I asked one of my best friends, Erica Bias, all the time to sing. She would do songs from Patti LaBelle and Whitney Houston. So if when my classmates hear that I have a show called Gospel Singing on the Spot, they're not surprised at all, because I've been doing it since I probably been in middle school and high school. So
that's a cool little concept. Because I bet you a lot of people are gonna be found with that, because it seems to me that you're in the business of your helping, and your seed is helping others get more exposure, and
exactly.
and it's huge with that. And I like those things, because when I see a person who I know can really, really sing, and one of the things is I'm like, hey, you got to get some exposure, whether I can help you get it or just lead you in the right direction to what you do, and I'm like, hey, you need to get on YouTube, you need to be posting songs, every so often, and then you don't even have to have, if you got your own songs, that's fine, but nobody's heard them. So, what you have to do to get that exposure, one of the ways, let me just say that, because there's many ways you can do it, but one of the ways is to cover someone else's song that's popular. Heck, you might even get that artist that wrote that song saying, whoa, she killed it, or he killed it. Let me get that person on board. Or one of my buddies, oh my God, he plays the violin, Lee England, and he covers hip hop songs and gospel songs. He covers all these different songs, and the first time I ever heard him was at a concert. It was like I think it was Noel Gardine was there, and it was just like a little local thing, and and it was a comedian, him, and Noel Gardine. You know, not anything huge, but you know, and I'm just mingling and talking to other people, and I hear this guy. You know, I'm not thinking anything of the violin, and I hear this guy playing these hip hop songs and violin, and I'm turning around like, what is that? He jamming, and so I go to the host and I say, man, who is that guy? And you know, he was like, man, this is what he do. And then once that I talked to him afterwards for a long time, and then, you know, we communicate back and forth. But he said he books him for every one of his shows, and he always have to put like a comedian in between the featured act, because he will overpower the act. And he was playing Noel Gardine's that hit song he had. I think it was like Through the Water or whatever. And it was a really cool song a few years ago. And he was playing his song. So and Noel, he just stood back and like looking like wow, you know. But now he's since he has went on. He's you know, done the Star Spangled Banner at several NBA stadiums. Michael Jordan loves him. Michael Jordan had him play in the Bobcat Stadium, you know, during All-Star. He brought him out All-Star Weekend a couple years back, and it's funny how you get started, and that's what I tell these people. So that's why I like to ask, you know, people like yourself, how did you get started? Because there's somebody out there watching this right now that has the same type of similar idea. Maybe it's in a different niche or whatever, but you can take these nuggets and you can run with them. You just have to get started. You know, what you said was, you know, people saying, hey, why don't you do this? Do you have this in a book? Would they pay for it? That made a lot of sense to me, because, you know, and you can reverse engineer that and ask people, if you are thinking about going into business, you can ask a question like, what am I good at? People will tell you, what is it that I do that you will pay for?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Here's a deal, Ryan. When I was in school, this is no story. You could check the track record. I got kicked out of kindergarten for talking. And so now I spend the bulk of my life talking and asking questions. So oftentimes stuff that you might get in trouble for, that people might, you know, kind of chastise you for, could be the God's way of telling you, hey, this is what you've been called to do. So some people have to go and train and get over there. They have this thing called Toastmasters that people go and get trained to get over their fear of speaking in front of people. I've never had a problem getting up, talking, and speaking in front of people. So the thing that comes natural, Ryan, the thing that comes easy, you know, I have a feeling that networking comes easy to you. You can walk in a room full of people and there is no problem that you will come with bunches of business cards and have made new friends. That comes easy for you, which is a no-brainer for you to start the blackfolkshotspot.com. So, of course, me with a microphone in my hand, hosting events, comes natural. People invite me to do it, and hey, it's God's way of putting his stamp of approval on this is why I dropped you on the planet as a special gift.
Exactly, because I think we got to find our passion. We got to find, and I'm gonna tell you, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean, from cutting grass, from shoveling snow. I mean, I literally, you know, newspapers, selling candy bars at school, the whole nine. You know, I ran. I was a president of Distribution Educational Clubs. Distribution Education Clubs of America in high school. Mm-hmm. You know, I did 2 years of entrepreneurship and fashion marketing, which is funny to me, in high school as well. But one of the things is funny. Oh, and I got suspended from high school in 9th grade for stealing the test answers. Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't actually steal them. That was what the charge was. Okay. The teacher really gave us the answers. Mm-hmm. She just didn't realize that somebody like me was copying the answers down. But ultimately, I was almost the same way you guys, we wrote your books. I was not writing them down to sell them. I was writing the answers down because she was going too fast, and we were grading each other's paper, and she was going too fast. And I was like, let me just write them down, and then I can go back and check, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of asking like, hey, what was number 13 or what was number 12? I could just look at my own paper. And so now I have the answer to the test, and I got the lady's second hour. So the whole rest of, you know, school. And then I'm like, I'm gonna get the answer to my sister, right? And that's how it went. And when I was giving an answers, people were like, "Hey, I heard you had the answer to the test," and they were like, "Man, can I get them?" Like, yeah, but that's gonna cost you, right? And so I charged. I charged people, and and then I ended up getting suspended because a girl told. And never forget my dad saying, after I explained to him the story, he said,
"That was pretty creative."
Well, I thought he was gonna be mad because I got suspended on a Friday, right? And so Friday I didn't say anything about it. The school tried to call, but nobody was home, and we didn't have back then it wasn't cell phones and all this stuff that, where you can always be reached, and so they just gave me paper like, hey, and then after suspension, your parents had to bring you back to school. That way they knew or whatever, right? So got spent on a Friday, didn't say anything Friday, didn't say anything Saturday. Sunday, when we getting, me and my sister were getting, and my little brother were getting our stuff together for the next week, my parents look at me like, hey, why are you not doing anything? And I'm like, and I just handed him a piece of paper, right? And and I just let him read it. And I thought he was going to kill me, but he turned around and he said, tell me what happened, your version. And so I told him, and he looked at me, and I still thought he was gonna be mad. And he said, you didn't steal these answers. She gave them to you. And I said, yeah, that's what I said. Right. And I was happy because, Mo, man, he was strict. And I thought for sure he was gonna get in trouble. I was gonna get in trouble. But anyway, he said, and he told my mom, he said, I'll take him back to school. Now, my dad never participated in school stuff like that. My mom was the one that always did the PTA meetings and, meeting with the teachers. But he was like, I'll take him. And when we went to that school and we met with the dean, he told the dean, he said, listen, I give tests at my job. He's like, and what my son did wasn't technically stealing. She gave us the answer because she was lazy. She didn't want to grade these test answers of all these students. So she had the students grade them. And you know what? He wrote them down. Now, is that stealing? And the dean's like, whoa, I guess it ain't stealing if she gave him the answers. And, what about selling? He said, well, hey, supply and demand. And then they asked, right? So then they asked,
that's right.
they asked me, well, how did you figure out, how much did you charge? I said, between, this was 1990, no, 87.
What, 10 cent an answer?
I charged 50 cents, 75 cents, and $1. Wow. That was the 3 price points, right? And and they asked, why, how did you choose those dollar amounts? And I said, well, I based it on how much I liked you, how much I liked the person. So if I liked them a lot, they paid 50. If I didn't like them at all, they paid $1, right? And so, if I was like kind of lukewarm with them, it was 75 cents. And they were like, how much you make? I said, well, I made enough to buy a pair of Jordans if I wanted them.
Wow.
And it was about, I don't know, I think I made like maybe 70, 80 bucks just in lunch hour. I took everybody's lunch money. Nobody bought lunch that day. But Make a long story short, that was just sort of the things. And my dad, he said a few years ago, he said, I knew that you were going to go in business for yourself that day. He said, because that day was a day that you saw an opportunity and you took advantage of it, and I had did some other things like senior year, we had to, in school, in entrepreneurial class, we had to take, we had to create a product, put together a board, vice president, president, CEO, this, that, and the other, and sell a physical product. And I chose buttons. And I remember arguing with my staff, other classmates, because I was elected president of the company. And I remember arguing with them and them going, well, why would we do this? And I said, listen, these girls are going to buy these things. What we did is we sold those buttons, the buttons, the campaign type buttons that you put on your shirts. And I found these buttons with a mirror on the back. They didn't have a pen. They just had a mirror. I said, well, women always like looking at, making sure the hair is right and, makeup or whatever. And so the mirror on the back works. They can put it in their purse. And I said, and then on top of that, you can take, you can put a picture on the front of it, whatever it is, whether it's, their boyfriend, their parents, their, nowadays it'd be their kids, because so many of these kids in high school have kids. It wasn't that many when I was in school, but if they're running for office, if they this, that, and the other, and we made so much money the teacher said that was the most money in his 20 years of teaching that any class had ever made. And I knew then, I was like, yeah, this is it. I just didn't know exactly what it was until I had that dream in 2008, and it was like Black Folk Hotspots.
Right.
So that's my steal. So Larry, I'm not gonna keep you much longer. I know you got some other things to do. You're probably super busy. Who is the biggest person that you, in your opinion, out of all the people you've interviewed, how many interviews have you said if you had to count?
Oh Lord, I don't even want to do it. let's just say I'm a platinum viewer, platinum views on YouTube.
Okay.
So lots of people have laid eyeballs on my interviews, and then of course I got them in iTunes and a whole bunch of other places.
Now, do you sell them in iTunes as podcasts, or are you podcasting?
I give them away. Let me see, the biggest artist I have interviewed. I don't know. I like them all. I guess one artist, Kelly Price.
Which interview, I guess in a nutshell, which interview do you remember, like, do you really remember, like, this was the greatest? And don't say the one with Black Folk Hotspots either, you know, that, yeah. No.
Yes, this is the bomb that comes.
There you go, that's my man. My man. But no, seriously, you know, because there's an interview that there's always something you can say, you know what? You know, I remember meeting Zig Ziglar for the first time, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I remember meeting Donald Trump for the first time, and it wasn't that it was Donald Trump, you know, and not that they were celebrities, but you know, and I've met Michael Jordan and I've met, you know, other celebrities and this, that, and the other. But out of all the people I've ever met in my life, Zig Ziglar was the one that I would never, ever, ever forget. If I had to take one thing, you know, one person I've ever met, and it would be Zig Ziglar. Who would it be for you?
I think because when I was doing gospel singing on the spot, and in my eyes, I don't really have like this person is big, that person, you know, A-list, B-list. To me, everybody is great. Exactly. But I was putting independent artists on the spot. That's how I started. Of course, you know, actually, to be honest, I started at Washington, Marion, Magnet High School, putting my classmates on the spot. And then, of course, when I got on the radio, I started putting, I just put independent artists. And of course, they would tell other artists, et cetera, et cetera. But the first national artist, I had the audacity to pick up the phone and call, and I was shocked that she answered the phone, was Vicki Winans.
Okay.
So, of course, you know, I'm calling, and I'm talking to Vicki like I'm talking to a secretary because, of course, I didn't recognize her voice. So I said, well, hey, this is Larry W. Robinson. I host a broadcast called Gospel Singing on the Spot. And what we do is we give the artist a song out of the clear blue sky and say, sing. And we know that Vicki is promoting this 1 in a Million campaign. And I would love to have her promote that on my show, but then also sing on the spot. So she was like, that is just too cool. And so I was like, yeah. So do you think you can get it? She said, absolutely, I can do it. So I'm thinking she meant absolutely, I can get Vicki to do it. So I said, well, when can we schedule her to do it? We can do it right now. I said, oh, is she available? She said, I am available. I'm talking to you. I was like, oh, shit.
Right. That's awesome.
So, you know, I asked her, and I said, and so when we got to the singing on the spot segment, I said, well, you know what? Since you Vicki Winans, you know, I'm going to let you choose your own song, you know. So she says, oh, is that how you do it? I say, what do you mean? She says that you let every artist choose. I said, oh, no. Actually, we give you a song out of the clear blue sky and say, sing. So she was like, oh, well, if that's what you do, then I'm going to follow protocol. I'm going to do what you do. I was like, oh, okay. And so I had already said if I ever had an opportunity to put Vicki Winans on the spot, that I would have her sing this song called Till I Found You, which is one of my favorite Vicki Winans songs. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I told her that story. So she was like, oh, okay. And so I think I mispronounced it the first time. I think I said, since I found you, or I said the opposite of what it really was.
Yeah.
So she came back. She said, do you mean Till I Found You? I said, well, yeah. She says, oh, okay. So she just starts, a song without a melody. I said, oh, I can't believe this is happening. And so she sang it almost just like the record. And then, you know, the rest is history. We've had Tone on. Let me tell you about Tone. Of course, I think his name now is B Slade. I called Tone, I think this was after he got dropped from his record label, and he was kind of going through some stuff. And so, but I still love him, you know. So I called him for an interview and to sing on the spot. And so he was the same way, you know. He was like, "Hey, if you give people a song out of the clear blue sky, that's what I'm going to do." And so it just so happens I wanted to hear him sing "I Won't Complain." And to this day, Ryan, people think that I told Tone in advance what he was going to sing because he did the song like he was about to record it for himself, you know. Just did an amazing job. Even after he did it, I was just like dumbfounded, like, did this just happen? You
Right.
know, but that is memorable. Of course, Vicky Winans being the first national artist is memorable. But one of the most memorable and the most viewed video that I have is right from my own home state of Louisiana, Zael. People know me from that interview with Zael. They're a group. They made famous a Clark Sisters song that I can't remember. Oh, "Is My Living in Vain" was the song that they redid and made it their own. And then they have some other music. But they were the first group that I did for video. I was doing it over the phone, but
Right.
we met up at a church in Lafayette, Louisiana, Progressive Baptist Church, and I put them on the spot. And at first, I just uploaded it to MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
And people was like, "You should put this on YouTube." And I didn't even know what a U and a tube was, but
Right.
I put it on YouTube, and that thing went viral. And that's the most viewed video that I have on my channel from Zael from Lake Charles. So those are from Louisiana. So those are some of the members. I know that Tone is a memorable one. Vicky Wine is Zael. Oh, and one more. My most favorite male vocalist on planet Earth is Gerard Woods. Now, Gerard Woods sings, well, he used to sing with the Bright Star Male Chorus out of Shreveport, Louisiana. I grew up listening to him sing. And so I called him. Well, his sister actually was on the music staff for a church that I used to attend. So I told her to call her brother when I found out that was her brother and tell him, man, if he ever becomes, you know, put out a record, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and literally promote his record. Well, years later, he recorded a record. And by that time, at first, I was just on the radio. But by the time he recorded a record, I'd already found the gospel updates, gospel e-blasts. I was already in the business of marketing and promoting gospel artists. So she said, "Hey, Larry, Gerard's coming out with a record." I say, "Really?" So we all got on the phone. And so I did a CD release concert or party, whatever you want to call it, for him. And he came on down, and I asked him to sing live on the spot in front of a live audience. I think he was the first person I did in front of a live audience, and he did an amazing job. So I would say that's one of my most memorable singing on the spot segments too.
That's and that seems cool. You know what? And you know what? It's funny that you do that because even though I know I ask questions about, you know, what would you guys want to talk about, that's just so I have a thing. But I like the candidness of the conversations because you never know where they're gonna go. And to me, it's just no different if, hey, you know what, two buddies calling, two business owners, and we can chat back and forth. And you know, because I used to do these, you know, I used to call our members, and you know, or they would call me, and we had these conversations, and you know, it would be so many nuggets, and I'd be like, I shouldn't be the only one learning about this. I shouldn't be the only one be talking about this. So, and I had, you know, and I'm like, something said, "Ryan, why don't you freaking use Google Hangouts? You know, there's YouTube, you know, this, that, and the other." And it took a while for me to figure it all out. I mean, recording to the wrong YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
You know, because YouTube and Google Plus, even though they're the same company or whatever, they, you know, like like the Black Folk Hotspots page, the BFHS network page on Google Plus records to my primary YouTube. So they're reversed. I would prefer to use my other one where I have way more friends, right? Way more connections, way more views, but I can't figure out, personally, I can't figure out how to get it back. And maybe one day I'll run across the right person. I always say that God put people in your place for a reason, season, or lifetime. And I'll bump into somebody and they'll say, "No, dude, this is what you do. This is how you switch it."
Right.
You know, because it is what it is. But right now it's working. So guess what? I'm going to work with it. I got one other question for you. Now, there's more gospel rap that's coming on scene, like say like Bizzle, for instance. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-mm.
Bizzle.
Unfortunately, the only
B-
let's see, gospel rap. I know Aaron Cole is one of my favorite gospel rap artists. What's this other guy? Lecrae, Canton Jones.
Lecrae.
Okay.
Was Lecrae the one? One of Bizzle and Lecrae. One of them had this song. One of my buddies, I used to play softball on Saturdays and Sundays, and one of my buddies like, dude, and he's not even a church dude, right, at all. And he was like, man, you gotta listen to this song, man. But it's like dude was slamming Jay-Z and a few other artists or this, that, and the other. But he was one of his songs was I'm riding down the street. Maybe the hook was I'm riding down the street, listen in my convertible, listen to gospel music or something like that. But it was either Lecrae or I think it was Bizzle. But it was, I was like, wow, okay. It was a rap song that I would actually listen to, and it was on the gospel side. And I listen to all genres of music. I'm starting to see, which I like, that more music is making the radio programming, the national, more gospel music, more gospel songs. So I guess they're making it towards that. And I think that that's very important too, because, while I listen to all genres, some of it is garbage and some of it's bad, and it's bad for us to even be listening to, but that's what they got to play. But, Kurt Franklin did well as far as getting into mainstream, and there's a few other people it seems like they're following. So, what's next for you?
Turning 40.
Besides 40, because there's only going to be one day, right?
I know.
I just want to let you know. I turned 40 a couple years ago, and I just want to let you know that when people say, how do you feel to be 40? It's like, well, it feels the same as I did yesterday, because yesterday I was 39, 365 days. You know what I mean? It always gets me. People ask, how do you feel to be 42? How do you feel to be 35?
Well, you know what, I was teasing one of my friends. I said, well, technically I'm 40 already, because when I was born I was already 9 months.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So of course we're working on this worship record. Got a new book coming. Immediately I'm working on the September issue of the Gospel Update magazine that people can go to. We're dealing all about relationships. Of course, I said it earlier. We're talking about how to manage through toxic relationships. I think people need to do that. We have people in our immediate circle. I'm sure, Ryan, you probably have experienced where, people, they'll say something, man, your black folk hotspot is pretty cool, but you'll never be Oprah, or you'll never be, whatever. So they'll say something positive, but then they'll throw a negative right behind it. Well, you got to be careful with people like that. That's actually toxic. Mm-hmm. And we call them dream killers. Yeah. So we deal with that in the magazine, but then we also talk about how to identify real relationships, real people that are in your corner, because there are a lot of people that's in your audience, but not necessarily, or in your crowd, but not necessarily in your corner. In other words, you see them, but they won't people. They will not be the people to support and undergird what you have been put on the planet to do. So you actually need to identify. There are people, Ryan, that you are specifically assigned to reach. Mm-hmm. There will be people that I will never have an opportunity to reach, because they are in your assigned, ordained, however you want to put it, tribe. These are your people. These are the people that God has specifically picked for you to reach. And those people in that tribe will support and eat up everything you do, because they've been called to your tribe. I have people in my tribe that have been called to me. They have other people doing some of the same things that I'm doing, but for some reason, it doesn't click. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't mesh with what they're doing, but they'll be in my tribe and be blessed and be, flourish or whatever. So with that said, we were trying to help people identify who they are and how to, if you want to use a business term, cater to them, serve them, however you want to do it, so that you both have a win-win situation going on. You don't want to always have people giving to you and you're not necessarily giving back, because it won't work. It may start, you'll have people, sowing in, but then if you're not constantly providing what they came to your tribe for, they're going to eventually leave. If you don't deliver on that's why you got to be real clear on what you say you're going to do. even with me, I tell people this is what I do. I don't do that because I don't want you expecting that when I do this. And then if you're expecting something else and I don't deliver what you're expecting, then you're going to go out and say, Larry didn't do what he said he was going to do. No, Larry did what he said he was going to do, but there was a break in communication on what you thought that I was doing. So you actually have to be very clear on what you said you're going to deliver to your ordained audience, your tribe, however you want to do it, and then make good on your promise. If you say you're going to do this, if Black Folks Hotspot says, this is what we do, deliver on that, so that anybody connected to you will say, well, first of all, even though you got Black Hotspots, Black Folk Hotspot, we see Ryan. You are the face of what it is.
Absolutely.
So what happens is we want to be able to say that if Ryan say he's going to do this, then he's going to do it, and he delivers exactly what he says. Well, that's how the universe should work. Whatever you say that you've been dropped on the planet to do that, and do it with the absolute best of your ability. And I just believe that the people in your tribe will support you.
You know what? I appreciate that, and that's, and I can't wait for you. Let me know when this book come out, so we can help get it out as well. Make sure you post it to your Black Folk Hotspots profile. I'm telling you, man, we got some good things. But you hit on something that's so important, and now I gotta touch on it. I'm gonna touch on this whether you on this call or whatever. But you know, I just had an issue with that. I have been going through this over the last year, and first of all, I will tell you that I put my face in front of Black Folk Hotspots for a reason, because I am trustworthy. People know me. They know that, hey, I am gonna say, you know, I'm gonna tell, you know, people like me because I'm blunt. I'm straight. I'm straight off the cuff. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got no reason to. Secondly, my name is pretty good. You know, there are some people who might say, "Oh, he's too brash," or, you know, I've been called an ass before, which is cool, you know, because, and it didn't come from personal experience. It came from Black Folk Hotspots. Like, oh, he's so mean. But early on, one of the things that, you know, I know is how to get exposure for your business, how to do certain things, right? So early on, people would come in, they wouldn't put up a profile image, right? They wouldn't have, they links didn't work to their websites, little things like that. And I'm sitting here like, this is your business card online. You know, and it will piss me off that it's like, you don't know your website? You know, you don't know your Twitter?
Well, you know, I fuss at some of my gospel artist friends, and I'm not saying don't use these other free services. Hey, if your budget can only afford some of these free Webbers, because I got some sites that's on some free servers, but I'm going to always have my domain name to point to whatever that is. But some people will have, I don't know, what's a free one? Wix, I think is one.
Yeah,
so they'll have Wix.com/Black Folk Hotspot /Ryan / I'm like, dude, just spend $15 a year and get, you know, blackfolkhotspot.com and then point it to Wix.
Absolutely. Right. You know, it's exactly. And that's coming too, because I think I am actually going to finish. I've started writing this book, and basically I think the title is going to be like how to start a business on $10. You just mentioned it, maybe 15 nowadays with domains, but because it's really all you need, right? You can take it from there, because you don't actually have you do now with your books, but you don't really have a product or service. You created something out of thin air, right? Black Folk Hotspots was created out of thin air. Right. It didn't take, you know, if I reach out to you, you're a business owner, like, hey man, I got a site that can help you get more exposure, or here's X amount of people. You're like, yeah, all you gotta do is create a profile. We didn't, you know, I didn't say you this pen, you know what I mean? But so back to the point that you
know what? Let me say this. I got to say this because I know we're gonna run out of time, and I want to say it before we end.
Yeah.
Some people try to wait, Ryan, until things are perfect before they actually launch. I think that is the biggest mistake that people can do. You know, oh, I don't want to put it out there. No, sometimes you need to put it out into the marketplace, because the marketplace will help you perfect it. You know what I mean? They'll tell you, no, this ain't right. And you want to take those critiques and make them. I always like, I get nervous when I see somebody that first come out and they're so polished and so perfect, because it's like, okay, so where are you going to go from here? You know, I rather come out not so polished, so that when I get to a certain point, which you can say, wow, the Lord has really done some things. You know what I mean? You come up
Exactly.
or whatever the word, the terminology is.
When I consult with people when they talk about YouTube, when they talk about videos, because I tell them all the time, I said, listen, use the free services, right? I'm gonna tell you something. You're a fool if you don't use Facebook. You're a fool if you don't use Twitter. You're a fool if you don't use YouTube. You're a fool if you don't use Instagram. LinkedIn, Google Plus. I call those the top 6. All the rest of them, you don't need. You don't need Periscope. You don't need Blab. You don't need all these things. I understand Periscope is the new thing, or Snapchat the new thing, or Blab's the new thing, and all these different other things. You don't need them. They're extra, but they should feed into your other stuff at the very least. Even Black folk hotspots. Where we come into play is our little USP is the fact that you can bring all those services, sort of like About Me. If you have a About Me page, the only difference with About Me is, you can put all your links to your different services. That's the thing, an online footprint. Somebody might not know Larry Robinson, right? But if they come to Black Folk Hotspots on another business profile or another event that we posted, and people are looking at 50 pages on average, while they're looking at, on Black Folk Hotspots per visit, they may run across your profile like, oh, this is interesting. I got a cousin who has a gospel CD coming out, or a cousin this and that. Let me connect them together. And that's the whole gist. And I have people who say, hey, I want you to be my PR person. I don't do PR. But that's not something, I'm not saying that in the future we won't have a component of Black Folk Hotspots where we have a PR person that went to school for, public relations and communications. I know what I'm good at. And that's what I try to stay in my little footprint. And I think as business owners, we need to know what we're good at. And then we need to go pull a person. If I know I want to bring a gospel side of things to Black Folk Hotspots like that, then why wouldn't I reach out to you, at least give you the first right of refusal and say, hey, Larry, you want to join forces? You know what I mean?
Right,
that's what you're good at. So all you do is continue doing the same thing that Google does. They got a roadmap of things they want to do. They want to create a Google offers type thing with like Groupon. They say, hey, well, let's make an offer to Groupon first. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let's make an offer here and bring them into the Google sphere. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube was acquired. Snapchat. But I say all that because a person wanted me to do something for them. And I did everything I needed to do. And this was off of what Black Folk Hotspots does. This is, some extra just by me having some connections and some contacts. So I made the contacts, but when you're doing third party and you're asking for favors, you're waiting a lot of times on their timeline. If this is not going to put money in their pocket, I don't expect for them to jump right up and do it because it's not money generated. So if it takes you a week to get back to me, that's fine. If it takes you 2 weeks, that's fine. It's not a money generator for you, at least up front. And instead, the person who had asked me to do it, instead of them calling me and saying, hey, remember we talked about this, did you do that for me? They sent me a nasty text message that, I was full of crap and I was this, and this. And I had all the information they needed. I just hadn't had a chance to call them yet. And all they had to do is pick up the phone and call me. I just pulled it out because once you pick up the phone and call me, then it stops me. It stops me from doing what I got to do. So now I'm like, okay, let me get it done. And that's the problem. And that's why I said,
some people's biggest hindrance, Ryan, is they don't follow up and follow through.
That's the biggest.
I tell that to people all the time. And I get stuff. You would be amazed at the amount of stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
And right. And so it's like, you sent an email, but 100 other people sent an email that day too. So first of all, what made yours stand out more than anybody else's? Nothing. But if a person call and say, hey, in 10 minutes, I'm sending you this email about this new CD that Ryan Hodge is putting out. Won't you check it out? Well, I may or may not do it right then, but at least now Ryan's name is on my brain. So I'm going to get in my bed 12 o'clock at night, review my day and be like, oh, what you going to call me about somebody named Ryan? Let me go check my email and see what's that about. I'm still going to have those 100 emails that everybody else sent, but I'm going to search and look for this person named Ryan, listen to their music. So the next time you call, I can say, or who your representative call, I can say, well, yes, I did. I listened to it late. I may need to listen to it again because I was half asleep, but I at least wanted to listen to it. And but I'm glad you followed up and followed through.
Exactly. And the other biggest thing is, like, if I was trying to if we were trying to do business, and I'm emailing you, and and I know you got my number, and you're not responding, I'm gonna pick up the phone. Hey,
well, Ryan, let me tell you something. Okay, so even for the magazine, we send invitations out for people to advertise their products and services, right? People email me back, yes, I want to buy an ad. Okay. What you got to do? Tell them what you got to do. Okay, I'm gonna get to you in a couple of hours in the morning, whatever they say. Okay, I'm either, if they say a couple of hours, I'm gonna double it. So if they say 2 hours, I'm gonna wait 4 hours. Just because you probably forgot. So, but then I'm gonna hit you up. And you know what? Most of the time, that if they're honest and they have integrity and they were going to do what they said they were going to do, they're going to say, I'm so glad you hit me up. It slipped my mind. Let me take care of that right now. Well, just think if I would have hit Ryan, or Ryan would have responded to my request to advertise, and you say you were going to do it, give me a couple hours, and you don't, and I just said, he's a liar, and he didn't do what he was going to say. Well, I never followed up and followed through. I can't at least hold you accountable until I talk to you again. Now, if I talk to you again, this is just rules of sales. If I follow up and follow through with you, and you're giving me all kinds of excuses, and your dog died, the truck, your grandmother got hit by the train, all that kind of stuff, then I know, okay, this person probably was not going to do what they said they were going to do from the beginning. So you can filter through that, but I wouldn't be able to filter through had I not followed up and followed through.
You got to make that phone call. And my daughter's 15, and I teach her that all the time. I do it on purpose, and I do, because I want her to understand that, this technology is great. We got text messages, we got emails, we got all different type of these, different things or ways to communicate with people. But one thing that will never go away is voice. Right. It'll never go away. It will always be there. It may be smaller than this in a few years, but it'll never go away. You got the Apple Watch. You can talk to your watch now. You got the Android watches. But when she sent a text message, sometimes I don't respond. And when she hit me on Facebook or the instant message, she says her mom. And so she'll hit me and she wants something. I will not, especially if she wants something, I will not respond. Well, I do now, because now she knows. She knows to, if I don't respond in a couple hours, to pick up the phone and call. Because now she knows I'll be looking at it and just literally like, okay, I'm going to see if she's going to call.
Right.
Because if you want it bad enough, you're going to call. Because I want to teach her that in life too. Because I was in corporate sales for 15 years. That's what I did. I sold big in technology, real estate, cars, technology, not real estate, mortgages, investments, insurance. Most of my deals came because I followed up. Matter of fact, one of my best deals when I was selling technology, that was my last corporate sales job. This guy, he said to me, he said, Ryan, you know why I do business with you? And I was like, because I'm the greatest ever. Mm-hmm. And he said, now excuse my language, because I'm like, people are gonna be mad. I got to tell you verbatim what he said. He said, because you're the most persistent MF I've ever met. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you wouldn't take no for an answer. I said, no, it wasn't. I wouldn't take no for an answer. You never answered the phone. And I guess those voicemails will tell you that I love hearing no. So I'm gonna take every time I call and you send me the voicemail, I'm gonna take that as a no. So until you tell me no personally, and finally he was like, you know what, dude, you probably called me how many times? 15 times. I didn't call him every day on an hour. It was like I just put him in my little system. Okay, call him back in a week, 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 because I hadn't talked to him. And once I talked to him, he's like, damn, dude, you can help me save time. By doing business with you, all I got to do is call you up and tell you what I need. I don't have to go figure out exactly what I need. You can tell me what I'm doing. You can lead me to different places. And that's what I try to tell people, even in business. I get emails all the time. Ryan, you get my email? Yeah. Did you read it? Nope. I was busy. I got to stop what I'm doing. I got a certain slot of time that I look at emails. I got a certain slot of time that that I send out requests. I got a certain amount of time that I approve events, with, the team, and this is what we have. And I'm like, y'all got to understand, I'm busy just like you.
Here's one other thing. Sometimes you have to learn the personality or the language or whatever of the person that you're trying to do business with or whatever. For instance, I like gifts. I like to go to my P.O. box and crack open something and be like, oh my God, Ryan sent me his new book. I can't wait to read it. I get ebooks all the time. I got them piled up. I rarely have read any of them. I get music all the time via email. Unless you kind of really stay on me, I rarely do that. Then I might listen to 30 seconds of it. If it doesn't really grab my attention, I don't mess with it. But if somebody takes time, especially to, let me see if I can grab one real quick, especially to send me something in the mail. Let's see what this is. Send something in the mail, and okay, this is a good example right here. There's an independent artist named Dr. Larry D. Reed. He has songs like Better Than Never and Can't Take God From Me. Well, this thing came, first of all, it came priority, and bam, came in the mail from him. What do you, and first of all, he spent $6. So I looked at him like, God, why didn't he just do media mail $1, but spent $6. So what was the first thing I opened that day? His message or his package, and I listened to his music. So that's just me though. I actually like getting Christmas in the mail year round.
Yeah. It is cool. And all right, man. So I can go on. This is the last story.
Okay.
I used to two things. So at technology company I worked at, I had this manager, and I had this account. It was a high spending account that was given to me, but they hadn't spent no money with the company in the past 18 to 24 months. But they had been spending. Their spending was going up every year over year, right? And then all of a sudden it stopped. So now I was given this account to see if I can, rejuvenate it, bring it back to life. And so I was calling these people, and they wouldn't answer. And I know in this day and age, everybody got caller ID, so they know it's me. Then I would go back through the notes, and I went and talked to other account managers that were still there, and I said, "Hey, man, y'all know about this account? Why did this account stop spending?" And then turns out that it was a problem with the order, right? It was an order that our people and our technicians and our specialists had told them that they needed to order this for their what they were doing. I was selling, the top end servers and all the stuff to run organizations, right? CDW I worked for, and they were like, why did they just stop ordering all of a sudden? It turns out that it was some Cisco stuff that they were trying to get, and our Cisco top-notch certified guy was like, no, man, let me tell you something. You need this. This will work, but where you're going with your system, it's not going to work when you get to here. So you're going to waste money. So if you spend the extra $5,000 or $7,000 now, you won't be spending $20,000 or $30,000 later. And the people were like, nope, this is what we want. They knew better. We're going to buy this. The guy said, it'll work, but it's not going to work long term because your growth pattern. And so they bought it. And in about 30, 45 days, they wanted to return it because they had exceeded the max. And Cisco is non-returnable, is non-refundable. And they were told that. But they were mad because they couldn't return it and buy the other. So that's why they stopped buying. They went to another vendor, found that out. So I called a company. I went to my boss and I said, listen, can we take a hit on this stuff? Because they're going to buy $40,000 worth of stuff, but they bought $10,000. Can we just take that back? And I don't know, even if Cisco won't take it back, we could put it in our open box store. And finally, my manager was like, yeah, if you can get them to first send the PO for the new stuff, you tell them we'll take the old stuff back. And so but I never was able to get a hold of them because they were so mad. So my manager says, this new manager, she says, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to get them to answer the phone? I said, in this case, You need to think outside the box. I said, I'm gonna send him a gym shoe. She said, a gym. She started laughing at me. Are you freaking crazy? That's the stupidest thing. And that's what she said. That's the dumbest thing, the stupidest thing I've ever heard a sales rep say. A gym shoe? I said, yeah. And it's going to say, I'm going to go to the little pawn shop or the little thrift store and buy a shoe and say, now that I got my foot in your door. They're going to look. And I said, she said, what if that don't work? I said, I'll send them a basketball.
I'm sorry, my mic was muted. That was creative and funny. I love it. I would have been like, who is this one here? Yes.
Exactly. You're going to be like, I've never got a shoe in the mail and just one, right? And I said, I'll send them a basketball. I said, I'll write on the basketball. Now the ball's in your court. Because those things are going to be delivered. Right. They're big. Right. They're oversized. You know, it's not a regular envelope.
Right,
you know what I mean? And I said, and then that don't work. I'll just send them one fine piece. I said, you know, Valentine's Day, they have those, you usually can find the big oversized cards. Mm-hmm. I said, those go straight to somebody's desk. You sitting there, they're going to be like, I'm like, look, man, I'm all out of everything. I done sent you a shoe. I done sent you a ball. This is all I got. Why don't you just give us a call? This is what we want to do. We'll work this system out with you. Right. He told me this was the dumbest and the most stupid thing she ever heard in her life. This was the manager told me. And I'm like, ma'am, you have no clue who you're talking to. You're talking to one of the most outside the box or outside the circle thinkers in the world. And I've sold some high-end products to people who, me as a black man, I should not have been able to walk into some of these white people's houses. I mean, I'm just not, just being honest. Sitting on the golf course at the 9th hole or the 18th hole, this, that, and the other, and we sitting on the back, I'm writing up, $500,000 investment. And here's just a little black dude from Gary, Indiana, that don't even have, I might not even been making $10,000 a year. You know what I mean? Not to say I hadn't made it in the past, but I'm sitting there like, this dude just wrote me a check for $300,000, for $500,000, But and then introduced me to all his friends, and I don't change, Larry. I'm what you see right now is who I am. I'm not like you asked, what should I wear and different things like that. I'm like, hey man, be yourself. If you would have came, long as you didn't come on naked. I was like, please.
Hey, that might have been my shit.
I was like, I'd have been like, eject. On the serious tip, because when I left corporate America, they would tell, the first time around, they would tell me, oh, you need to put on a suit. Right, you need to have on a tie. You can close my business if you have on this. You can do this, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got an 80% close ratio. I'm the top division manager in this region. I'm like, I'm looking at your numbers, and my numbers trump you, and you're a regional manager. My team is killing your team, but I don't want to need to have on a suit. Maybe you need to take your suit off, take your tie off. I was like. And there's just so many different things that we are judged. But that's how I run Black Folk Hotspots. I do things kind of unorthodox because I know they'll work. I've talked to people that are huge. And that's one of the biggest issues is I talk to a lot of high-powered people. And because I came from the online marketing game, there are some dudes that will blow you away and do $18 million in a 2-hour webinar. And you're like, how the heck did they just do that? And when you look at
if truth be told, this really should have been a webinar because we've given out some great information.
Well, that was the whole point, but we will do some other things. You can rest assured of that. But hey, Larry, I know you gotta run because I gotta run. I think I'm gonna go surprise my daughter and pick her up from school. I know she'll be walking. So she won't catch the bus.
Why?
She's spoiled. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, she told me that maybe I'll Poppy in the morning. It's so many different smells on the bus. Everybody got different, and I can smell all that. And I'm like, bad smell? She's like, no. You know, people, they clean, you know, maybe got perfume on or this, that, and the other, but there's so many different smells, and it just, you know, some smell like breakfast and some don't. You know, I'm like, but I knew what she was saying, but I'm like, this is coming from a 15-year-old, but I knew exactly what she was saying. I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, what about on the way home? You can at least catch the bus on the way home. She was like, well, yeah. And she only lives about a mile from the school, so it's about a mile, so it's a nice little walk. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe you need those extra steps. You can do a little bit of walking too. But more importantly, so I didn't already, like, school's been in session for like 2 weeks. I didn't already picked up like 4 times because she's spoiled and she's a good kid and she makes the honor roll, so you can't complain, you know. But I don't want her to expect me to be coming to pick her up every day, because her mom told her, I'm not picking you up after school. You're going to walk home. I'll drop you off in the morning on my way to the office, but you're walking. And then, you know, then I gotta be the chump daddy. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna go pick her up. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, man. We gotta do this again. And I'm gonna tell you, Larry. I'm telling you. I'm gonna tell you. I know you are already there, but we need to be introducing you to other people and getting more stuff like those books and stuff like that, man. Just putting it into a rotation and different events you having. We should get those on Black Folk Hotspots, man. And that's for real. Say yes.
I'm sorry, I got folk sending me messages.
I know it's all been, dude. You know what? Busy people. I
agree. Yes.
Busy people know busy people.
I made money while we were sitting there talking, so praise God.
Hey, yeah. But here's the deal. So that's a good thing, right? But yeah, so what I extend to all my guests is the BOGO. So you upgrade today, fix up a profile, put some stuff on there, get it back into rotation. Whatever you do, we match. So I make that to all our guests. So yeah, that's my thing for you for coming on, my gift for you, for sharing your business with us, and then you'll see it. We're gonna be pushing this around the internet too as well, because we want to blow this thing up. Tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, mine is real simple. You can simply go to Larry W, as in wonderful, LarryWRobinson.com. That's www.LarryWRobinson.com. And my contact information is there. If you're an author, recording artist, I'd love to talk to you as well. Go to LarryWRobinson.com. Visit Amazon today. Check out my new books. Get Up and Get Over It is the first book, or Life Quotes, a collection of motivating and empowering thoughts to help you believe and achieve your dream. And if you're a person of faith, I encourage you for free to download the latest issue of Gospel Updates magazine. It's actually a digital magazine. I printed it out just to show a group of people the other day. This particular issue was the Power to Get Wealth issue. So we have articles about getting and maintaining your wealth. Also, Keith Douglas, popular Tyler Perry actress Tasha Smith's ex-husband, Keith Douglas, is speaking out, and he's in here. Also, let's see. Oh, I want you, when you get this issue of the magazine, it's available now. I'll have a new one up in a day or so. But if you go to gospelupdates.com, look for Keith, and then download it'll download directly to your mobile device. There is a wealth creation formula that's in there that I think you should have. Every person of color should download that today. Wealth creation formula. It's absolutely free of charge, and it's available inside of the Power to Get Wealth issue of the gospelupdates.com. Gospel Updates magazine. Just simply go to gospelupdates.com. I appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you so very much for letting me hang out on Black Folks Hotspot today.
SBB TV episode
58
in the books. Hey man, thanks. I appreciate it. I really do. Make sure you guys go check his links and definitely get that magazine, because we definitely need to know how to build some wealth so that we can support each other and grow.
And the next issue is all about relationships, networks. You know, you can't build your net worth if you don't build your net worth.
Exactly.
So, we're gonna be talking about that in the next issue.
Sounds like a plan, bro. Hey, man, I appreciate it. And for all y'all who are watching this, make sure you go get Support Black Business T-shirt. Links in the description, and his books. We'll have the links there as well on it for Amazon. And then obviously you can, if you didn't catch it, you can also click on the link in the description, which will be Larry's Black Folk Hotspots, because he's gonna get that updated today, but with the new stuff, or maybe tomorrow. But he does have all the links work that he does have now, so everything looks good. But anyway, thanks guys for watching episode 58. See you guys Monday with 59. I think we got Daisy from Aromatherapy, and that's she's a CEO of a company. So be sure to follow us on YouTube, and it'll give you the updates. YouTube.com BFHS Network. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.